All right, welcome everyone to the Classics Gaming Collaborative Semi-Annual Gaming Lab and Lecture, sponsored by the UNCG Network for the Cultural Study of Video Gaming. My name is John Borchert. I'm the director of that network. The network was founded in the fall of 2021 with the goal of bringing together scholars and students at the university to create a hub of research and learning around video gaming and esports. So it platforms a bunch of events, programming, and curriculum that will sustain the cultural study of video gaming at UNCG. We have things like our Video Gaming and Esports Studies minor, which I see some students of in here tonight, which is nice, and our Game, Music, and Sound Design Collaborative alongside the Classics Gaming Collaborative. More information can be found on the website. But tonight I would like to introduce the director of the Classics Gaming Collaborative and the reason we are all here tonight, Dr. Aisha Dodd. Aisha is the lecturer in the Department of Classical Studies here at UNCG. She received her PhD in comparative literature from Harvard University. She is a scholar of classical antiquity and South Asia. She uses video games specifically when teaching mythology to explore representations and distortions of the feminine, from goddess to witch to monster. She is the director of the network's new-ish Classics Gaming Collaborative, the CGC, which I'm sure she'll tell you more about, but please welcome Dr. Dodd.
Thank you, John. Welcome, everybody. I'm really excited to have this event. And thank you to the network and to the Esports Arena for collaborating to make this possible. So this is our semi-annual gaming lab and lecture. It'll be led by Dr. Roger Travis. Dr. Travis is an associate professor of classics at the University of Connecticut. His research interests include narrative games as epic performance, reception of adventure games as humanistic inquiry, game performance as mimesis, cooperative card games, and digital RPGs. And today, Dr. Travis will be engaging with Marvel's Midnight Suns to talk about the roots of deck building in recompositional epics like Homer's Iliad and Odyssey. We are really excited to have him, and I'm going to let him take it away.
Let's turn. I've got a lapel on here. Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you so much for the great welcome here. This is amazing. First time I've ever gotten to talk in an esports arena, so that's a thrill. So I want to start with a roadmap of what this is going to be. I want to do this as much as a workshop as I possibly can. So that's going to involve me setting things up, I think, for about 15 minutes. And then I'm going to play some Midnight Suns while you watch, but I think it's also possible for other people to play. And we're just going to be playing the tutorial, although I am going to brutally skip the very long, but really very good cutscenes. And hopefully you'll do that too if you're playing, or feel free to watch the Marvel action of those cutscenes. But then I'm going to come back and we're going to talk, and hopefully it'll be participatory. I understand how hard that can be, but I'm going to send you into that first gameplay section with kind of a setup in terms of what I want you to be looking for and thinking about, and then maybe we'll come back and maybe you'll participate with me in talking about it, or maybe I'll just say what I think. And then after that section, that will tee off another section of the game where we're going to do more, and the card mechanics get a little more complicated, because this is all about cards. And the reason I picked Marvel's Midnight Suns is that what I'm actually currently working on, my current book project, is about actual physical tabletop card games. These, what I call cooperative adventure card games. How many of you folks are card players in terms of Magic the Gathering and, okay. All right, great. So Fantasy Flight Games pioneered a genre that's kind of spread into other places. Some of them are competitive, but the ones I'm interested in are cooperative, where you play cards within Lord of the Rings or Marvel Champions is that game, or the Arkham Horror universe. In any case, that's what I'm working on, because here's the kind of main roadmap point, the destination that we're going to try to get to. I want to persuade you that the cards that you play in that kind of game, and this is also true of Magic the Gathering, which is the kind of truly classic adventure card game, if you want to think of it that way, that they are very, very analogous, very, very similar to the building blocks of Homeric epic. And I'm going to introduce a word, and I'll keep hitting that word. The word is theme, and we use it in scholarship about the oral poetics of Homer, not the way theme is used in general. A theme is just basically a repeated element. And what we're going to talk about is how the Iliad and the Odyssey came to be out of bards singing their themes into stories that we now know as the Iliad and the Odyssey. And I'll probably say this several times, the books that you read in class, humanities class, for example, those are fossils. They're fossils of what was once a living epic tradition in which, because the culture was not a written culture, the bard who was singing could not sing that story the same way twice because of the way that memory works in the absence of written information. So that the basic similarity that I'm going to be kind of teeing up, and then we're going to take off into Midnight Suns, is that that inability to play the story the same way twice is really precisely analogous to the inability that we have when playing a video game to play the story exactly the same way twice. And sometimes randomness, as happens in Midnight Suns with the cards, sometimes randomness plays a role. Sometimes it's just because when you're playing Halo, for example, your reflexes on one playthrough are not as sharp as they were on the last playthrough. It's always going to be different. It's always going to be new, and that makes video gaming, and really games of all kinds, including just tabletop card games, this is true of tabletop RPGs as well, it makes them a special kind of platform, and it gives them, I think, a special kind of immersion. And part of our destination is going to be talking about that immersion and what that immersion means and what we can do with it. And the kind of final destination of all of that is to say that what we're doing when we tell these stories on these playful platforms is a kind of humanities. And even more than that, what we do when we go and talk about it with other people, places like Board Game Geek and even reviews on Steam, that's doing humanities. And so if we want to, I don't know, save humanities, this is maybe a place that we should be looking, because to tell you a secret, I don't actually think that humanities needs saving, because I think people are doing humanities and they're not going to stop doing humanities. It's just that we in the university, we in the academic world, have kind of stopped following people where they are and where they're doing humanities. So that's going to be the kind of final endpoint, and you can see whether you agree with me. The way I'm going to set it up is by telling you how I got to where I am now in terms of thinking about games, etc. So I'm going to tell this as a story, because stories are fantastic, as you all know. It's the fall of 2004, November to be precise, month of my birth. And I'm driving home. I've recently gotten tenure. And I hear a story that I later was to learn was planted by Microsoft on NPR about the release of Halo 2. And I'd been